What a subject we're talking about. What an absolute, amazing, marvelous revelation that we are faced with. It's so glorious, actually. It's such an amazing thing that Jesus came to rescue us from the tyrannical rule of darkness and has translated us into the kingdom realm of his beloved Son. You know, that word translated, I've said this before in previous episodes, that word translated is crossed over. He has crossed us over from tyrannical rule into the kingdom realm of his beloved Son. And we've been talking about the domain and the dominion and the rule of darkness and the domain and the place where God's realm operates in. The last time we were together, I read the scripture to you from Deuteronomy. God will form you as a people holy to him. He will form you as a people holy to him. When Jesus came and he came to live in our lives, in our hearts, we were formed in the image and the likeness of Christ, a holy people. He has formed us as a holy people. And then further on it says, and live the way he has shown you. So he shows us how to live in light. That's what the New Testament is all about, is for us to learn to live in the light, to live in his ways. I want to go back to the beginning of Deuteronomy chapter 28. I'm reading from the Message translation. And it says in verse 1, if you listen obediently to the voice of God, your God, and heartily obey all his commandments that I command you today, God, your God, will place you on high, high above all the nations of the world. Okay, now just bear with me a moment. If I change the scripture and just read you something in a slightly different way. If I say, if you do not listen and you do not obey the voice of God, your God, and if you do not put your heart into your obedience and you do not listen to the commandments of God, then you will be placed in a position of tyrannical rule. You will be ruled by the tyrant, because you will live under the anti-blessing, the curse. So the curse is, again, for those of you who have been around us, the curse is not something that it's such a negative connotation. It's really horrible. But essentially, you have the blessed life in God, and then anything outside of God does have no blessing. And so we call it the curse. And in the Old Testament it's called, and in the Bible it's called the curse. But I like to just put it this way, it's anti-blessing. It's against the blessing. So whatever God has got for us in blessing, you have anti-blessing. So the enemy of God, he's a tyrant. He doesn't want you to have the blessing. He wants you to live in anti-blessing. Why? Because if you're anti-blessed, then you have none of the glory and the blessing and the holy people blessing. You have none of that wonderful thing, the wonderful life that God has got for us. You are under the rulership and the domain of the tyrant, the dark force, the dark side. Yeah, I mean, I'm making a joke of it, but it's not a joke. It's a serious thing. It's a bad thing to live there. And like I've said before, most people, if you say to them, hey, you're under the rulership of the tyrant, they'll say, get out of here. Don't even bring that near me. What are you talking about? You, the church, you are the tyrants. You want to force people to live in a moral code that's just unrealistic, and you want to have, you're anti-liberal, you're anti-progressive, you're anti-everything. The church is a conservative, domineering organization. Well, yeah, religion and the organized church, yeah, they pretty much do that. They're under a religious spirit. And yeah, they can be tyrannical too. But that's not what the spiritual people are about. That's not what the order of God is all about. But can you see just how much that tyrannical rule has come in to try and consume our lives, so that anything that looks tyrannical, looks like it's demanding, look like it's there's no liberal, there's no freedom, they blame that on the church. That shows you just how powerful the tyrannical rule of darkness is, that it's even got the church scurrying around trying to protect itself from things like that. But Jesus has said, God the Father has said, I will form for I will form you as a holy people, and you will live the way that He has shown you. Come on, let's live it so we can have the blessing. When we come back together next time, we're going to talk more about the blessing.